The scariest thing in the world would be if they gave Sinbad another TV show.
Look, this is just an informal chat. We were wondering what you were working on in your lab.
Well, I've invented a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Right, and what's positive about that?
Well, it's a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, could it also give worms to ex-boyfriends?
This is a drug for the world to give worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, great. Thanks for stopping by.
You just don't get it here.
I'll eat my neighbors. See, my superpower is being honest. I'll eat your ass.
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. Everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and dances full of them. We're gonna start with hot shots. Just watch this chorus steps.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Fantastic Comics Presents number 76. We need to talk. We're going to have a whole long conversation about customers and employees and store owners. And maybe we're going to just like squash the beef that we have out there with each other. And maybe we can come to some sort of accord so that, we can all get along, because comic books are fun. It's not always a fun business. It's not always, I don't know, it lends itself to, for the customers, for the fans to get a little rowdy. Quite often, comic store owners are people that were fans that like to get rowdy at one time. And we'll have a long conversation about that. In addition, we will be remembering Robson Rocha, who was an artist for DC. And we'll talk about New Comic Book Day. DC Comics did come out in time, and they were up on the shelf early this morning. as soon as we opened, you can buy your brand new Detective. And we will have a couple reviews and maybe a look at some future comics I'm really looking forward to that are a couple of weeks away, some of them. Some are things that were announced, and I don't know if we've talked about it yet, but I think it's time to do that. Before we do that, I would like to say hi to everybody out there. Everybody that's here live, everybody that's listening after the fact. Why don't you give yourself applause?
Sup?
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 Hello?
What's up?
I mean, applause. Thanks for hanging out this long with me. I really appreciate it. Tell a friend if you think they might enjoy this kind of thing. What are we? Oh, what is another YouTube comic show about comic books and all the things that are comic book related? Ugh. Another dude that won't even show his, well, I am showing my face. Talking about comics. Who really needs that? The thing that sets this show apart from others is that we are a comic book store located in Berkeley, California. You can see the hours and the address, and you can reach us on all social medias. Well, I shouldn't say all, the main three: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. At Fantastic Comics. If you're interested in buying back issues, you can look at fantasticcomics.com. It will take you to our Shopify store. We have like 5+ pages up and all sorts of really cool comics from the Silver to Bronze Age, and with more coming all the time. We're also getting ready for a convention. Last week we had Tim Peters on of the Berkeley Comic Show, and we're going to be taking our wares there. A bunch of Silver Age DC comics that we're going to sell for cheap. Well, not that cheap, but cheap. I mean, you're never going to get that good of stuff ever again. Not like how well presented it's going to be. So, the Berkeley Comic Show, and you can find them at berkeleycomicshow.com. We talked about comic books from a comic store owner's point of view. And, there's ups and downs all the time. Some things sell out, some things don't. I look at my rack and I'm like, we didn't move any of these books. And I'm not quite sure if these are returnable. And it really kind of sours my mood. So I got to admit, there were some really good comic books that were not purchased last week. Of course, both days, Tuesday and Wednesday, when we were expecting comics, they didn't come in until the days after. So did that affect us? Is this something that's going to be able to be made up? I'm not quite sure. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when things are out of our hands. We can't really, do anything about it. And even when things are going well, sometimes you can't capitalize on things properly. So these are kind of the things that, comic stores have to deal with. Let's say hi to everybody. I already did the what's up. Early today. You Murdered That Guy was here. Fantinian was here just a few minutes ago. Shelby Pill in the other room. And Diablo Hashcraft, how's it going, buddy? I am very, very safe right now. It's time for Fistchozo. How's your channel doing, dude? Or I say dude for everything. It's a non-gendered dude. Courtney's here. Hey, Courtney. Thanks for coming by. Let's see. All right, so here's a question. Would you order books from indies? I plan to use a magazine distributor. Oh, how interesting. I don't know. Sure, why not? If it's something I do kind of. So you can go through. There are some companies that also are small press or boutique, and then they get picked up by other companies. But until they run out of their first prints, a lot of times you just keep going through that small boutique to get the book that ultimately might be reprinted through like Fantagraphics, let's say. So yeah, there's been many a time when I have. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I don't know what. I mean, we're going to obviously do Penguin Random House, hardly an independent, but they're going to be running the Marvel section, and we're looking forward to it because unlike Diamond, we're going to have even longer terms than we ever did, which kind of got us into trouble in the past. So we have no intention of like abusing it, but at the same time, it's really nice. Like I said, we didn't get our comics in last week, and we might never be able to recoup those sales other than like just break even, because you know how I order is I order for the customers that ask for it. I might possibly think there'll be extras within that haven't asked for it, and then I order for them in mind, and then maybe a little extra for the shelf. But when that person who didn't ask for it didn't care to pick it up because of whatever reason, and then I have extra for the shelf, it's like, you know, it's like 8 comics, you know, or more, depending on how big a title it is. So case in point, X-Men came out, brand new #1. Everybody that's been reading it, that's been buying the Hickman X-Men should probably want to keep reading this, even though Hickman's not doing it. And, you know, I set those aside, but of course, you know, I ordered extra for those people that might want to get in on a #1. And we'll be talking about X-Men later. Send me more comments. I got some really good ones for you, and we will get on it, dude. Some local stuff also, at least as far as San Francisco, or as close as San Francisco. Moby's here. Good to see you, buddy. I didn't understand that video. You guys all gotta follow You Murder That Guy's channel. Is that really only 6 seconds? And it was just a still of Batman, right? I guess I should look at it again. Hey, LK, how you doing? All right, and we got one answer. As far as I'm concerned, Bruce Wayne died with his parents the night they got shot and killed. That makes sense. I was always under the impression that the Batman was more of the skin, or the Bruce Wayne was more of the skin of Batman now. So, you know, it just kind of furthers his needs. And every once in a while, they'll do these like stories where, well, especially with like Tom King stuff, where he's like really infatuated with Catwoman and in love with women. And I always felt that was just kind of like to cover his ass so that, you know, he, you know, plays the playboy. He doesn't have to be a real businessman, but he can still, you know, roll in it and roll in it at the same time. But overall, it was just so that, you know, he has an alibi when he's running around as Batman. So, am I as analytical as Brian Hibbs is when figuring out what and how much to order? Well, you know, I haven't actually read any of his tilting at windmill articles that might talk about ordering, but we use a database, and I don't know, sometimes it's on gut. The problem is I'm also a reader of comics, and when I'm a fan of something, I might hope for it to do better. And you when you're putting emotion into it rather than numbers, that's not a good move. You know, usually you want to stick with the numbers. Sometimes I'll see like, oh my God, we only have 1 issue of this comic book left, and Wednesday just ended, and I still have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you know, until the next week of comics. And we just have to trust that the numbers are right. And more often than not, it plays out. You know, maybe a brand new customer comes in, someone that, you know, comes in for the first time. Maybe someone who's just visiting from out of town or coming from another comic store because they couldn't get that X-Men issue they needed it, you know, so they come in and they pick up something else also. Maybe it's that one extra that for that shelf, and it's like, wow, it's gone, you know, and maybe possibly as a result, you order a little bit more the next time. You know, we've been upping our numbers on Noctera and Geiger as they've been coming out, and maybe I've found the plateau, and maybe on that last issue, you know, I went a little bit more overzealous than normal, but you know, the thing is a lot, and you know, this kind of plays into the customer employee role. Do you read your comic books when you first get them? I know a lot of people save them up. I have a lot of comic books that I've saved up to read so that when I don't ever have new stuff to pick up, I will still have new comics to read. But I'm doing that more, kind of like my scrolling away my retirement comics, my retirement reading. I actually had been out of comic book, being an employer. I had not ever been an employer when I finally got out of being an employee for the last time working at Comic Relief. And I had all these comics set aside. I have a whole box of Keith Giffen comic books. Actually, I have 2 boxes of Keith Giffen comic books. I have all the Doom Patrol that Grant Morrison wrote. I have all the Invisibles ready to go. I've read most of all of that, but there's some things in between. You might have taken a break and just not caught up. I have I just have so many. I have all those Wednesday comic books that came out in magazine format, came out weekly for DC. Those are fantastic. I have Jonathan Lethem and Farrell Dalrymple's Omega the Unknown. I'm really looking forward to reading that all the way through someday. So I've got crazy amounts of comics when to go ready to go after I'm done reading brand new comic books. But I'm still reading brand new comic books. It affects the way I order. So I'm probably not as analytical as Brian Hibbs, but I'm also working at a tighter budget probably. So maybe possibly even more. My latest video answers this question. Okay, good. I'm glad. Phew. Let's see here. I am 100%. Oh, when he parties, he drinks flat ginger ale. There was so this week, The Detective, which has been a series I've really enjoyed, written by Tom Taylor with art by Andy Kubert, came out. And there's this scene in that issue where right at the beginning, Bruce Wayne is drinking water and he's like, I don't know. He's like, can I have more? I need some. I'm really getting thirsty, and he's realized, he's been drugged. Does that really sound like Batman? I mean, he's always on high alert, isn't he? Let's see here. Just like any decision making, yeah, you have to take emotion out of it. That's sure. I agree. All right, Fitzcho's excellent. I read my comics as soon as I get them. Excellent. I do too usually, but maybe possibly how a story arc is being written. So maybe like in a traditional miniseries, all of the information in each issue leads to the next one and leads to the next one, and it's not just filler for a trade. You know what I mean? These are all hopefully very important elements within I like to hope that a miniseries in a comic book is like Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe in the short story format says that every sentence is crucial. You can't waste a sentence. This isn't a novel. You waste sentences all the time in novels. But in a short story, we have to get to the point. And nothing can be wasted. So hopefully a miniseries in comic books is the same way. Unless it's an Age of X miniseries. Ouch. Those were pretty bad. So yeah, you really hope that it's important stuff that you have to read, pick up the next issue, pick up the next issue and read. If not, it's a trade wait. And even if you get the issues rather than collect the collections, you probably, or not you, but a person often will sit and wait for those 6 issues. They read like 3 issues, but they're 6 issues. So I noticed that a lot of people haven't read, maybe they just got done with like the X of Swords. So like they haven't even gotten through the Hellfire Gala. They haven't read all their X-Men issues, and maybe they did get through the gala, but maybe they didn't read the last X-Force or Factor or whatever the hell, depending on how much they have to read, how much they choose to read. Whew, it's tough, man. It's tough keeping up. There's a 3-issue mini series of like the Simerian. Those are really good. hey, a lot of times a person will just be like, I'll just get all of them and then read them eventually. And I know people coming in the store do this all the time. And they do it with their comic books. They do it with their collections. You wouldn't think that would happen too often, but it happens a lot. A lot. Let me tell you. It happens a lot. I don't know a current comic writer that is adhering to Poe's edict. Yeah, well, that's true, especially in the big two. I would say even the downtime in Beta Ray Bill has been character driven. So in 4 out of 5 issues, just about every page, there hasn't been a panel wasted. So that would be a book I would, and the thing is like, in comic books, we have art to go along with the words. So not every word has to fit with every picture. And, you can, not every picture needs a word. Not every word needs a picture and all that stuff. And if you're conscious of that, you can tell a really good story. And I think there's a few other books out there, but it's hard to think on the fly. But we'll figure it out. I don't read mine near food or drink because I'm OCD. Yes, you are. Let me see here. I know I have to be in the mood to read. I got a couple months stacked up. Yeah, exactly. A couple months. I understand. I like Headlopper. You know what you're going to get from Headlopper, so I continue to buy it, but I know I'm going to sit down and just really ingest it all at the same time. So when I recommend it, it's more on, art and the first issues that I've read and, what I expect it to be going forward. Not necessarily that it is that way, but I'm still buying it. And so that's one of the things I do. A 40-year-old version it. Doesn't he just like totally say, seal them up and everything? Oh, that poor guy. All right. We did all that. That's great. That's good talking to you all. When we get into the conversation about comic store owners and customers and speculators, let me know what you think and we'll get to that. Also, everybody out there, if you're at all interested, maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell a friend, like I said. Hit the bell for notifications and give us a thumbs up if you like what's going on. Like I said again, Fantastic Comics is on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We have a Patreon page. I just put up the second preview of comic books that are going to be debuting this week, and I talked about some that are sometimes it's store specific. I know there's some customers that are really into that kind of thing, and sometimes it's just something I'm jazzed about, or the public is making a buzz about it, so maybe we should talk about it. I also was lucky enough to be on another episode of The Aficionados. I think it was this Saturday on Thinking Critical. I also do Slabbed and Raw with Wes and Doc and Pele. And we talk about collecting comic books, whether or not things are worthy of getting CGC'd. Maybe you don't want to go to CGC. Where do you go? What trends are going on and all that stuff. And this Saturday was last Saturday. But Slabbed and Raw, we've done 6 episodes, and I'm sure we could at least go another 4. And we're going to probably go live eventually and have guests on. So that could be really cool too. So that's if you need more Yule in your life. Oh yeah, and lastly, I'm going to be working with Atian, who's sometimes in chat, for a sci-fi fantasy read-along. We will be doing a read-along of Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-5. It is a sci-fi novel, But wow, it's steeped in like literature and history and fanciful flights of fancy. So I can't wait to read that, and we'll be recording that and getting those out soon. I think the last episode of ATN and Jill's Earthsea Volume 1. I don't know what it's called. Ursula K. Le Guin. Yeah, they just finished that. Jill can tell you in the chat. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. I don't know what you're proud of me for. I didn't do nothing. All right, okay. Fantastic Comics. Speaking of CGC, what do you think of the idea that Blackstone bought CGC with the idea to turn Rare Comics into an equity with shares to be traded? Holy, I can curse now. Holy shit, let me tell you. Talking with Pele about that, and he's kind of a cryptocurrency kind of guy anyway. I personally am not. But I don't like to take those kind of chances. I own comic stores instead. So he's kind of like on that train, and not only is he, but my brother, not Jeffrey, who runs the store with me, but our crazy brother Michael has been talking about oh my god, what are they called, guys? Something chains, blockchains, is that what they're called? No, not blockchains. Whatever cryptocurrency is hooked up to. He's been talking about that kind of stuff for a long time, and I guess that's what NFTs are all tied up into and everything. And the Dodgers, I'm a big Dodger fan, they just did not all episodes are out yet. Excellent. The Dodgers just did an NFT that they're auctioning off that's the championship ring. And they're talking about it's 3D, and there's like this motion and movement and all this other junk. And wow, I mean, I kind of think that'd be cool to have, but I don't think I can bid against rich Dodger fans. Not for something like that. And also, who cares? Oh, really? So in crypto, is it Ethereum? I was going to buy an NFT of something, and you have to move your cash into something else. And I'm like, I'm not even bothering with it. It is called a blockchain. Excellent. I wasn't sure if that's what happens on Twitter. And so Pele's been talking about how Blackstone bought CGC, and I asked during a Slabbed and Raw, what is the reason for this company to do that? And I'm obviously this company sees, and these guys buy homes and sell, and they do all sorts of stuff that makes them money. So obviously they saw a way to make money from CGC, but it's deeper than that. And now we're seeing that it looks like it's becoming harder and harder to get that Amazing Fantasy 15. It's becoming harder and harder to get Detective 1 through 26 or 27 or the first appearance of the Joker. So if you have yours at home, or if you have one that you're eyeing at your comic store, you might start thinking about putting that money together right now or making a down payment on it, because if they put it out on the internet to sell in an auction, or they go the heritage route and all that other stuff, it's going to be more of these these Blackstone, these conglomerates, these people that are putting these Skrellies, putting their money together to get all the Black Lotuses they can, so that you can't. They're going to corner that market. And now if you have CGC backing you up because you own them, you have an in with the collectible market. You've owned these things, and now I'm just going to partition out you're going to kind of be a timeshare, just an NFT timeshare on Amazing Fantasy 15, if I understand this correctly. Crypto is Superman's dog. Just not the right kind. Just not the right kind. So yeah, there are some companies that have shares of Magic cards. But how do I own a part of a card with a bunch of people and so we were joking, it's like that Simpsons episode, but they forget that Martin's involved. Martin and Milhouse and Bart buy Radioactive Man #1 from the comic store. And they all own a piece of it. But of course, they can't share properly, and it gets destroyed, and that's what happens. But yeah, we can never hold these things, but we can all own a piece of it. So the only thing you can own is stock in that comic that ultimately might get moved, and when it does, you get a piece of the pie for what it's sold for. I guess is what I'm if I understand why you would even be a part of that. Maybe one of those person dies off, or that person's hurting for money, and you can buy another share. Maybe I don't know, is it 10 pieces that make up a whole, or maybe it's more, or I guess you could it could subdivide and do all that stuff, and I don't know how. But yeah, the only way you're going to have an AF-15 is if you don't buy it right now. If you don't fork over that money right now, you're not going to get, your super, super important key issues. And it's getting harder and harder to find them, especially, the ones that get slabbed. And then again, they're put up on auction. The only thing we could hope is that, Pele was talking on this last show about how he got a Journey into Mystery 80. God, I always get the numbers mixed up. Excuse me. 83, I think it is, the first Thor. He got a copy of that, and he traded a bunch of comics to this guy who had that, but it filled this other guy's needs, his collection, and there was a reason for that. So he was able to get this book. And, it further dawns on me that if these Blackstones and groups buy up these comic books, you aren't going to be able to make a trade with them to get that comic book. There's not enough of anything. All they want is money. They're only doing this for money, I would assume. And you're not going to be able, oh, wow, these guys are cornering the market on the Black Lotus. Well, I've got all these multi-lands. So what? I want money for this. And you know what? We're not even really selling anyway, because I'm just going to make an NFT of it. Bam. BlackRock, Blackstone, BlackRock. I can't remember which one's which. One makes faulty showers that when they take the showers, they get electrocuted. That's right. But the thing is that for a 9.8, which is pretty much the highest grade, 10 you can get, but a 9.8, first appearance of the Ghost Rider. I think it's Marvel Premiere 5, I think it was. Pele was saying, this is a Pele show, so he should be really happy to listen to this. Someone tell him later. He said that it sold for like $250,000. And he's shocked because that book shouldn't be that high, regardless of the grade. But that is the way it is now. Holy cow. If a book like that is $250,000, we're looking at an X-Men potentially being like $1 million book. And X-Men was never $1 million book. That was like Action 1. Maybe Detective 27 would be that someday. But now, because of grade and these other investors getting involved, it's really raising the price of the comic books right now. And normal Joes, your best bet is to wait till old lady or that old lady's husband dies. And hopefully she doesn't know anything about eBay and doesn't have any kids. And you can get them. But don't rip her off because, at least go by guide. Yeah, you would think it's a bubble that will burst. But the problem is, again, these investor groups don't need that money back, I would assume. So they can sit on it for, till the bubble, creates itself again. And then, boom. And yeah, excellent. I'll put that up so that you can see. Yeah, this is pretty much what the grades go by. You go like 6.6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and then it gets like 9.2, 9.4, and varying degrees of perfection, because you can't just have a near mint book. You have to have a near mint with 2 marks on it, or near mint with 2 more marks on it. All right. So why do we need to talk? This is really not a episode about me as a store owner or me as a customer being upset with stores or vice versa. It's really about this picture that came up on the internet this week, and a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people got upset. Let me see. Will this work? Do this? No. Hold on a second. Okay. Well, you know what? How about I do this instead? I'm going to remove them. I'm going to play a video. I was on Comics with Perch's show not too long ago, and there were some funny moments that I clipped, and I thought I would share them with you. I'm going to do that right now with this one right here.
All right. You tell me. So you'll intentional or not. Here we go. Here's our first one. A good old classic Reed Namor thing here. What do you make about that? What do you make with this?
Well, I'm going to ram those mocking words down his throat.
Yeah.
Jeez, this is
there's a lot going on in this panel.
This is pretty something phobic is what I'm thinking here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, you know what? He's pissed, and you know what? Namor. I can understand that. I'll give Reed a pass. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Do you think the writer-artists knew what they were doing with this panel?
They were being edgy. Yes, they knew.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Stanley knew.
I think they're ram the words down their throat. Nah, but when you get to the thing saying, "How's about giving me sloppy seconds?" I mean, I can't think that was not that has to be intentional. But anyway,
I like it.
It's fun stuff. All right, okay. I do like how Namor's like giving him the look of like contemplating. Like I'd give things sloppy seconds, as long as I can get to. That's what he's thinking.
Well, that's always what he's thinking.
Yeah,
right? And not only that, during the Hickman run, we found out Namor had to hang. He had to hang with some chicks.
Yes, absolutely. I love how the Namor's his entire kind of comic legacy has kind of really come down to he wants to fuck Sue.
Yeah. I was gonna write a story with a friend of mine. A little like a one pager,
yeah.
And it was all about how he couldn't ultimately get Sue because he's walking around barefoot in New York all the time.
Yeah.
And he has some dirty ass feet. And, you do a close up and it's like sorry, folks, a Krusvaluski, and it's like, the bunions and maybe a hypodermic or something like that. Some tight, some
gonna be gross.
Some bandage, and, maybe those wings don't look so healthy.
Yeah. It's going to look on those feet. Goddamn.
Sue ain't hanging with Namor. Not in the end. That's right. She's not hanging with Namor. Yeah, thank you, Perch, for having me on the show. I can't wait to be on again someday. I loved being able to clip all that stuff. I actually was on one more recent episode, and I didn't do any of that. I was a lot more low-key and a lot less drunk, and I thought, there just wasn't as much fun stuff. Good to see you, Courtney. Thanks for coming in. I know you're not on this coast, so thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Yes. Let's see. And that was Larry King. Larry King Undead, who does sometimes draws some stuff based on what people say, whether it be on that show or some other stuff. And he also has his own comics that you'll probably find out more about soon. Dude, you haven't been on that show for real yet again, have you? So that would be cool. Maybe you should be on this show since you're up. Maybe we'll get you on sometime. Did Gizmo eat dinner? Yes, he did eat dinner. For those of you that don't know who Gizmo is, he's my dog, and he's at the store quite often. A lot of times he's sunbathing outside in the on the sidewalk. This is what he looks like. Yes, he is doing those great comic wrestling mashups. He did the Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you, bloop. He is being a pill. And why is it? I mean, of course he is. That's what he does. All right. So during that break, I was able to get that picture up, and it was this. This was on social medias this week. And we talked about it on Slapped and Raw, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit more this week and let you all know about it, and maybe have a conversation about maybe what we expect from each other. This is specifically to speculators, but the thing is that you have to realize that of all your customers, certain amounts of them, if you're lucky, are going to come in consistently and be speculators. And it could just be variant covers, it's that guy that comes in and buys variant covers. Or maybe it's just like, he only comes in and buy the Campbell covers. And if there's a 1 in 25, he wants that. If there's a 1 in 50, he wants that. And I say he. That's a non-gendered he right there. It could be anybody coming in, and for whatever reason, maybe they just buy this type of comic book. And you don't know the reason why they're doing that. It might be because they like it. It sings to them, or they know it sings to other people, or it's a proven track record that J. Scott Campbell covers increase in price. The rarer they are, the more expensive they are. And, it happens. But, usually what will happen is that a comic store will increase the price of a comic. And we have the right, as a reseller, to charge more on first day than, other things, than other places. It's a collectible market. That's a thing. I personally don't appreciate doing it. My father walked us right out of our comic store that we got our holds from when they tried to sell us something a week early at an increased price. He didn't take to that. And so we stopped collecting comics there. And it was a bummer. But, it taught me a lesson, or at least it taught me his lesson. And I pretty much adhere to that. I've had, things where we were giving away comic books from the back room. And I knew some of these comics were important. Like I put Immortal Hulks in there. Now, the idea was someone comes in and buys something and they can go and get a comic from there. And it's a certain amount of dollars that you have to spend. Well, a certain person went and accrued like $70 worth. So he was going to get like 7 free books. And he pulled like all these, Immortal Hulks. Well, that those were there so that everybody can get that. But he took advantage of the situation. And since I didn't have any signs up that would suggest you can't do that, there was nothing I could do about it. Now we have this person here. They're going a different route. They're saying, we reserve the right to reprice any books that you bring to the counter. So I'm looking in that Superman 1939, and I'm expecting to see that Alan Moore last issue of Superman. And, it's $10 in there. But who knows what happened? Maybe Alan Moore died 5 minutes before you got to the counter. And eBay, it's going crazy because he died with a Superman shirt on, right? And his beard had an S in it. And Doomsday killed him. Whatever. Alan Moore's dead, and I went to the counter, and it's a $50 book just because someone sold it stupidly someone stupidly bought one on eBay 5 minutes before you got to the counter. What a scenario. I just wanted to get the 2 issues of whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the greatest Superman story that Alan Moore, well, the other greatest Superman story that Alan Moore wrote. I just want that. And it's going to cost more money now. And they're talking specifically to speculators. So hopefully, he can read my mind, read my heart. The person at the register knows that I'm not there to turn a quick buck. How horrible is it to go in and buy something off the shelf because, someone wanted to sell it? And it sucks as a store owner. Let me tell you, it sucks when someone comes in and wants to buy 5 copies of this book and you only have 10 of them up there. And then his wife is going to do it also. And then his kids are going to come in and do it also. And then before you know it, 50 comics are only 25. And you're selling them at a cover price to all these fools like a chump, while they're going on eBay and selling them for $5 more than you. And, everything's driving to their site, all that other stuff. It sucks. I can understand it. But, unless you're going to go that route as a store and do that, it kind of, it rubs me raw. Personally, I never would put something on, we have a point of sale system. So there's barcodes on everything. So it might not have a price on it because they don't sticker it with a tag necessarily. But it's understood that there is a price associated with it. And I don't go in and change that price just because, just because you picked it up and I know that it's hot. Like I have Epic collections. I know that those go for a lot of money when they go out of print. I also know they come back in print. It's a speculative move, and it's usually people buying them at expensive prices because they're not sure if they're going to be able to get it again, and they really want it. And someone's taking advantage of them. But, that's the way it works. And that's what it is, man. You price a comic, you put it in, it's priced. Put that decimal in the right spot because, you're kind of beholden to the customer to do that. I really don't think that this is the way to go. Okay, so there is a YouTuber by the name of Night Tiger Comics. He talked about going to a store that wasn't doing this, but this is what they do.
I was in the area, I had some money. I said, let me hit this other store nearby. I didn't want to go back. Last time I went there, the guy didn't have anything priced. He looks it up as you check out, and I detest that. I don't like stores that do that. I think it's wrong. They make the customer do all the work that they're supposed to do, and then they want to overcharge because they don't want to pay employees to go through the books and pull them out and price them. They want you to do it for free, and then they want to charge what they would if they had an employee hired to do it.
That's right. Hire an employee to do it. You didn't hire me to do it. I mean, maybe possibly if you're going to do that, give me some credit. And I don't just mean like you did a great job. And I know how it is. A guy comes in, they have their key collector app up or their Go collector or whatever it is. And they're looking on their phone for all these things. Or at least you think they are. In the case of Night Tiger, he was just looking at his collection on his CLZ app, which probably has grades and prices associated to books that he has on there. But, big deal. It's not like someone's taking, like in the store, I do not cotton to people taking pictures of art books. Art books, man, that is like having an art book in a store, that's a wonderful thing because art books don't totally move all the time. And to come in and just want to take a bunch of pictures of it is like, it's kind of callous. But I mean, seriously, finding out that, oh my gosh, Darkhawk #1 is popular because there's a rumor that he's going to be in something. And it's like, all right, fine, you know, big deal. If you are a store and you're not going to go and take, you know, the books out of the dollar bin that you think might be worth more money, if you're not going to go into your bins every once in a while and peruse what you have, personally, whoever does that should know exactly what they have in there anyway. And you should limit the amount of what customers have at their fingertips so that you can do something about it later on. But, you know, before the day, at the end of the day, if you can't reprice these things because, you know, it's a hassle with your computer system or something like that, and you don't just like tag it, take them out, move them into the processing room, you know, the processing room or the processing section of the counter where you price your comic books when you're eating your chicken salad sandwich or whatever. Okay, let's look at Diablo Hashcraft says, a vendor at the East Bay Toy Show tried to reprice a G.I. Joe that I wanted, so I walked. Amen. Yeah, exactly. Does anything affect price other than TV and movies these days? For the most part, it's movie and TV. But Donny Cates, when he was writing Immortal Hulk, he was using elements of old stories, and it was so exciting. I mean, Al Ewing, when he was writing Immortal Hulk, was using elements of the old stories and the old characters, and he was bringing a lot of people back from the dead and all this other stuff. Their first appearances, or the first appearance of Betty Ross being the Harpy and all this other stuff, was going for a lot of money. And Donny Cates on Venom, his back issues of his series that he was writing were exploding in price. His Thanos stuff went in price. So there are writers, characters that are created, and stories that occur that can drive up the price of a comic book. Usually it's a first appearance, and again, the mere mention that it might possibly be a villain or a side character in a TV show can make something way more expensive. Get your Deathstroke, the Terminator #2 on New Teen Titans now, because it's already like a couple $100 in really great condition. But that's like, you know, a super crazy character. That's always good. I think about it often. Do you have any policy against someone buying multiple copies of a back issue? If they're in the bin, you can buy multiple copies. Normally I have 1 or 2 at the most. So you wouldn't really be able to just like take 5 out, because I'm limited for space in that regard. And it just really wouldn't be worth it for me. Plus, you know, again, you know, you put out 5 at $5 and overnight they're $20 books and you don't catch it. It's detrimental. So I do have comic books that I don't place out there. You know, there's definitely some that are in a vault, and you see them go up and in price, and you have to make that decision whether or not you want to take them out of that vault, or if you believe that it's something that's important and something you want to have in your store later on down the line. And, you know, maybe you'll slab it and try and auction it off. You know, you keep them. I have books like that, but I don't do it too often. We had a buy where we got a bunch of Eternals, and I purposely lost them. I didn't want to find them. I mean, we had so much stuff. I don't want to know where they are. And I had someone that wanted to buy them because he has a lot of people that want to buy them from him. Well, I want those people to buy them from me, and I don't even want to sell them right now because there's going to be an Eternals movie, you know. So if that thing's a flop, and I know a lot of people are like poo-pooing it right now, it's not going to help my Eternals issues sell. But nonetheless, I have to find those. But I do have some Eternals out for sale right now, so it's all good. Let's see. You guys talking to each other. Excellent. Here we go. I think the only book that I have that's worth a substantial amount, Blue Beetle #1, first question, my favorite character. Paid 60 Canadian dollars back in the day. All right, excellent. There was a time when that stuff wasn't so expensive, but I think it's going up now. And not only that, the question. Love that guy. Let's see here. I have Spider-Woman 1 through 4. I'm assuming you mean the Jessica Drew early issues, like in the 70s. I liked anything that was like kind of like Spider-Man adjacent, but those were so romance driven as a kid. I just didn't care, but I liked her look so much. Now, as an adult, I'm looking at that art that I wasn't as fond of. A lot of Carmine Infantino. I'm really digging it now, and the covers are so. I think there's like a lot of Dave Cockrum in there and stuff like that, and she just has a really good outfit. They changed it up recently, and then they changed it back, but they left the bottom part of the hourglass in her stomach area off. And it makes her look like really fat and just like, I don't know, like she has this, what are they? It's a fupa. Yes, the covers are great. All right. So let's go back to talking about customers really quick. There is, so that's speculators. Customers will do things like this. They'll, well, we talked about it. You know, the main problem with customers I have as a retailer is when they don't keep up with their stuff. I feel like, you know, if you're like a bartender and you're watching somebody get hammered, you know, when you can like maybe like cut them off. But I'm not there with you when you're not reading your comics. In a way, I would love to cut you off and say, look, you gotta, you know, read this stuff before you start buying these future books. But, you know, again, it's not really my business. It's when they find out that they really hate the title now. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, you know, there's a new creative team coming on. You might want to like, you know, chill on this. That was kind of like what the X-Men was. But man, that's like that was like the main thing. The other thing with customers is when they let their whole lists get too long, too full, their boxes, their pull boxes, and they stick you with it. As a store, I had a customer that came in late after we contacted them, and we didn't have their stuff in the pull. And I was like, oh my God, this person's back and I don't have their stuff. And I felt like a real heel. And I'm scrambling so that he doesn't know I didn't have his books for him anymore, right? But we're still going along with, you know, us, you know, keeping his pull list the next time. And then I'm like, finally, I'm cutting this off. I'm cutting this off because like I've been burnt a lot, you know, and a lot of times it'll be like, well, these are comics I wouldn't mind to have in that, you know, that vault later on, you know, in the back room where I'm not actually selling them, but they might percolate. One of these might be important and I won't even care that these other ones didn't get sold. Or maybe I'll be able to package these up and, you know, still move them along in some other way. But, you know, you got to take the, you know, the positives out of that kind of thing. But when customers don't pick up their stuff, it's bad because we ultimately have to pay for those, whether it's up front or, you know, it's later on down the line, depending on like what kind of terms you have. And I've had customers that sometimes I've had at least two customers, I think at least three, but two for sure, that had like life-threatening car accidents where they were hit by cars. And, you know, you don't find out about this later. Oh, yeah, I was in a coma and it was a medical coma and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't remember who I was for long, you know, all this time. I'm like, holy cow, and you're back here? Hell, let's see if I still have your stuff. I'm going to just like, you know, kind of hand it over to you. I'm so happy you're back and alive. You know, you don't know about this stuff. And then there's like, the ones that just kind of like skip on you for whatever reason. And that's a bummer. But, it's like running a comic store and owning a comic store is like difficult. And, you have to deal with these filthy speculators and these deadbeat customers. It's really hard to like look at our good ones in the eye and care. Fantinium. I'm just joking. It's just tough, especially when you're not really excited about the product that's out there. A lot of times I'm not really excited about the product. It's not so much I'm even not excited about it. It's that it's all kind of samey. Even when it's different, it is in another way, whether it be a mini series or something I think is just, out there. So it can be like a television property or something on Netflix. Let's see. Yule doesn't know I'm already That's right. There's some good books for you this week and some annuals too that came out DC style. So I think you'll be happy. And since we are doing that, why don't we talk about, oh man, this one's sad. It's just a really quickie. This dude here, Robson Rocha is his name. This guy right here. And he just died. He's a Brazilian dude who did a lot of DC stuff. I think Detective Comics when Tynan was writing it, did Aquaman. It was such an unfortunate run that during that Kelly's Pseudoconic run. He drew that. He's a really good artist. When people die, I don't want to be a dick about it. When people die, a lot of accolades are thrown out there. I thought he was a very solid artist. Dynamic, had really good stuff that he put out there. And you know what? He was only 41 years old. He had a long way to go to be better. And I could, you could definitely see that sometimes when you're working for like main companies, you don't see the real artist all the time. Not everybody can go and just like, I'm going to just draw anything I want. This guy was doing like a bi-weekly book, in Detective, I think. And he didn't do every story arc, but you have to get those, you got to pump those books out. So you have to sacrifice a lot of artistic, integrity, maybe, quality. And his stuff still looked really sharp and it was good enough for like a Batman book. and that wasn't like it is now, where you fall out of bed and there's a Batman book. I mean, they put him on Aquaman, and like normally someone doesn't, when they don't always put great artists on. I mean, DC does a good job. If it was Marvel, it'd be a little bit different, but they don't always put like the great artists all the time on their books. And I thought he was really good and could have been a lot better in the future, but he's a Brazilian who I guess died of like COVID complications or something. It was like just a week ago. They were talking about like needing like blood and transfusions or something like that. And yeah, it's a shame. He was good. Bummer. 41. Damn. I passed that one. Let's see here. I don't know anything about that. I think he had it and it seemed like he was better, but he must have had some messed up complication or something. I'm sad to say I don't know anything he did. Well, yeah, or don't know if you read that Detective run was not my favorite. It was a lot of well, personally, I'm not a big fan of Tim Drake. It was a lot of Tim Drake, but it was also a lot of Tim Drake in that sort of like future like dude of like version of himself or something that was like manipulating everything. And it was just a really convoluted, stupid story. I remember reading and not liking it. And I think Robson was on that. So there you go. Let's take a look at some new comic books that came out today and some comic books that are coming out tomorrow. First up, Batman Detective number 4 of 6. Andy Kubert is, I almost said Adam. Andy Kubert is doing awesome freaking work. I'm really in love with the stuff on the inside. He's drawing Batman, Bruce Wayne, blockier. And the premise of this, if you haven't been reading it, you're going to probably want to get this in a collected form if you haven't, is that people that the Batman saved are being murdered by this group that's dressing up in crazy white Batman costumes. Barbarella number 1. Oh, I didn't write the name down. The author is an award-winning sci-fi author. It's a woman who now lives in America. I'm remembering the Wikipedia, but you should check it out. The artwork. I wouldn't be able to tell you the name anyway if I read it out to you. It's like, oh, maybe I have it right here. Oh, I have it right here. I'm so stupid. Sarah Hoyt is the writer, and the artist's name is Madabek Musabekov. And the illustrations inside are excellent. This is a Dynamite comic, so that doesn't usually happen. That's a zing. I think it's really good. It's maybe not fluid in the art, but the pinup and layout aspect of it is excellent, and the coloring's good. I recommend it. I recommend checking it out, and I can't wait to read this series. Another DC book, we've got Batman Urban Legends number 5. Here you go, kids. If you want to speculate on a comic book, limit one, because I only have a few. Batman Urban Legends, the very end of this is a grifter story written by Matt Rosenberg, and the Wildcats appear. Not the Wildcats in quite the way that you remember them. I didn't see Lord Emp anywhere. But the Wildcats, Lady Tron. Tomorrow, Spare Parts. This is a one-shot, if I remember correctly. It is about women that have lost appendages and replaced them with like weapons. And how can that not be awesome? Marvel has an offering with Sinister War number 1. This is going to coincide with the Amazing Spider-Man 71 through 74, and this 4-issue miniseries is the last of Nick Spencer writing Spider-Man. Personally, I think that these were all supposed to be issues within Spider-Man, but dude got canned for that job that he took, that Substack job. So rather than these be like months down the line or every other week, they're just like, we're going to just pump these out. So it all coincides with 74. Maybe that's not true. Next up, we have Ninjak by Valiant. A book I sometimes read is Ninjak. I sometimes read Exo Manowar, and I sometimes read The Harbingers when they come out. Ninjak is a MI6 agent, or was, I guess, is not now. And what you found out that Ninjak is actually Ninja K, and there were other letters in the program before him. And it's kind of cool. I enjoy that. But they're going back to Ninjak. He's left the organization, and he's killing people that he probably would have killed under the organization, but he's doing it on his own, and everybody's very up in arms about that. So they're keeping tabs on him. This book got a lot of notoriety because Javier Pulido, who many people on social media of professional status said is a fantastic illustrator, is doing this book. I think he's also coloring it. And some of the sample pages that we got to see were this and this. And I think, probably rightfully so, this little stance right here is a little funky. Right by the, he's kind of doing the Egyptian thing. Overall, I thought this book looked really, really good, and I'm a big Jeff Parker fan. I've got it in my hot little hands right now, and I even read some of the pages digitally, so I haven't read all of it, but this is probably the worst pages right here. I think the orange isn't a very good color anyway, but there's some other pages that still use this kind of effect. And I do like the way he lays out pages. It's different than other people, and it allows him to tell his story a little bit differently. And it's not all just like, slicing and dicing. Oh, that's me. What else is coming out? We've got the Simerian, a brand new Simerian miniseries by Ablaze. This is the Man-Eaters of Zambula. I love comparing the Robert E. Howard Conan stories with the comic books. And I love taking these comic books and referencing the Savage Sword of Conan comic books that reference this storyline. And if not Savage Sword of Conan, then probably the Kurt Busiek, Carrie Nord Conans that they did with Dark Horse. And I just love having a big old smorgasbord of the same freaking story told in different ways, and I love it. And someday I want to put those images together, and the writing, because a lot of times Roy Thomas isn't just lifting Howard's writing, and these people aren't just like word for word verbatim everything. They have to tell it in a comic book story. So sometimes the words of Howard will be more impressive in the situation, and I would love to see a nice little marriage of that. Silver Coin number 4. This is a mini series with Michael Walsh doing the art in every one. The thing here is that each issue is written by a different person, and it follows this coin that gives people magic powers, but it probably comes with a price. Beyond the Breach. I haven't read this one yet, but I like Ed Brisson. He does. He's done Wolverine and X-Force, probably the best of the X-Men books, other than Hickman's in this last Dawn of X or whatever the hell they're calling it, Reign of X. And this is going to be a horror base because that's all Aftershock can do. But I'm looking forward to it. Ablaze again. We sold out of the first issue of Space Pirate Captain Harlock, and I assume anybody that got that's going to be pretty excited to see this one too, because the art is scintillating. Very good. And last but not least, we've got Thor. This is not being done by Nick Klein, as I was led to believe. I'm so embarrassed for having thought that was the case. It's this dude named Bandini doing it. But I've really enjoyed Donny Cates' Thor run. It hasn't increased in value quite like his Venom or his Thanos did. Cosmic Ghost Rider here. But he's telling a really, this was really the first book that Donny Cates has written for Marvel that I cared about. He did Venom and I didn't care, and he can do Guardians of the Galaxy and it might be good, but I don't care. And pretty much the same for Thanos. Those were good stories, but ultimately I don't care. But Thor, now I care. And every issue has been really good. I really like the last storyline, and this is spinning from that, and it's finally coming out. Feels like it's been a month or two since it's come out, so looking forward to it. All right. Yeah. Tell me about it, dude. They don't want to hear about it, especially at my Lutheran school. That did not go over well. Was it Brisson that did the X-Men Grand Design book? No, that was Piscor. And you got that right. It was X-Men Grand Design. Brisson, as far as I know, is just a writer. Piscor is an artist and a writer. Piscor has done the X-Men Grand Design book. And when they collected it, they did it in the same size as his Hip Hop Family Tree trilogy, which is a biography about hip hop. He did one called Wizzy Fig, I think it was called, or Fizzywig, and it was all about like the first computer hackers out there. It wasn't quite like the movie. That's right, CBT. All the schools should be learning about it for sure. All right. Now let's get the last banner that I need to have up. Boom. Reviews. Let me, you know what? Before we do the reviews, let me do this instead. That's right. It's almost the end of the show, so we're going to have some reviews to take us out. If you did not get these books last week, maybe, just maybe, I can entice you to try them out. Let me see, where did I put them? Oh, they're right here. Excellent. 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 Also, if there was any comics that you all were interested in this last week that you got, oh, sorry, you don't want to see that, that you liked, let us know in the chat. And also, for those of you that are watching or listening afterwards, let us know in the comments, you know, what comics did you like that came out last week? What comics that came out this week are you looking forward to? Were any of the comics that we talked about something that interests you? Let us know. First up, we have Fight Girls number 1. This is by Frank Cho. He's writing and drawing it like he does usually, and it's about women like it usually is. And it pretty much says everything right there in the cover. 10 women, 4 challenges, 1 crown. Winner rules the empire. And it starts off, and we find out that the queen has abdicated her throne because she can't sire an heir. And so right off the bat, with all these words here, we find out that there's going to be a competition to find the next queen. And here's the ladies right here. And they are going to like step on platforms and go to other worlds. And I don't know exactly how a winner is going to be figured out, but they are off and the story gets going. And here we are in the Jungle Challenge. And Woman 1 is starting to get a little bossy right off the bat, and they see off in the distance that there's that they need to go to that they have a teleportation up on that hill, up on that machine, that machine, and she gets whacked right in the head by this lady right here. And she tells everybody to run, and that's how the story starts. It was like 4 pages in, if you count that splash page. And there's monsters, there's cheetahs and stuff, there's dinosaurs. Not all the ladies make it to the end. And we also are introduced to these dudes here who are interested in one of the ladies. And I thought it was a pretty good first issue. You know exactly what you're getting when you're getting a Frank Cho drawn comic book. He loves the female form, and his dudes are pretty cool. I mean, usually when someone is so focused on one gender, they kind of get a little lazy on the other ones. But I think overall his dudes are pretty well drawn also. He has a sort of Eric Powell quality, but he has that also like cheesecake cakey stuff going on also. And if you enjoy his stuff, this is right up your alley. I thought it was cool. We got, it's a little sci-fi. It's a little like Battle Royale maybe, or maybe Death Race without the cars. I'm sure as we go to different planets, we're going to see different threats. So that should be pretty interesting. And hopefully you can keep up the inventive stuff, because his one thing he likes to do, or his two things that Frank Cho likes to do, is draw ladies and dinosaurs. So in this first issue, we've already got that. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. And it's just a mini-series through AWA. Go figure, a mini-series. X-Men number 1 came out last week, and this was an extra-sized issue written by Jerry Dugan with art by Pepe Larraz. Larraza. And this is your team right here. Do you know these people? Can you name them all? Have you encountered these X-Men before? Well, you're about to. All right. So again, this is just a teaser review. We start off with this kid named Kelvin Hang, and he made millions before he was like 15 or something like that. And his parents, who were like, super smart and physicists and all this other stuff, they absconded with his money and left him on his own. He resurfaces later as Fei Long, and he also has a company named Fei Long. And his whole thing is about getting to Mars. And he's actually changed his body to be able to live on Mars. And there's more to it than that, I'm sure. But recently we find out, and he finds out in this news bit, that something's going on in Krakoan Mars. And that's X-Men based. So if you read the last issue, or the issue called Planet-Sized X-Men, they had promised that this was going to be the next big issue that everybody's going to have read. You read Giant-Sized X-Men, and that changed the X-Men forever. Well, this is Planet-Sized X-Men. And in Planet-Sized X-Men, it's basically them going about terraforming Mars, the mutants, and making it acceptable and inhabitable so that Krakoa could come and live here. You can correct me in chat if I'm wrong with any of this, but it's like Marvel Girl and Magneto, and then Storm comes in to lend some like lightning aid, and Mars becomes habitable. And also at the beginning of the Hellfire Gala, the whole night went by in the issue of the Marauders, but we didn't know exactly what everything was. As the evening ended and people were being left home, they can't quite believe what they saw. And what they saw is what we just saw, was the terraforming of Mars. And that was the Marauders number 21. We have that in store, by the way. And of course, this pisses this dude off. And he's like, it's not me, it's them, talking about Mars. So he's pissed. A few days ago, this treehouse sprung up, and isn't it beautiful? Ben Urich is talking with Cyclops as he's moving into his treehouse. Here we have Polaris showing up, and Cyclops is showing her around, and we meet Marvel Girl and all the other characters. There's Wolverine and Sync, and if you didn't know who the people on the cover were, now you do. Isn't that great? I like the way they do the tree so that you can see on the inside of it. It reminds me of those old schematics that you would see, like of Titan's Tower, or this is the X-Men, the Manchester, whatever, the School for the Gifted, and then you have like the Blackbird hangar that's underneath like the tennis courts and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. And one person was missing, Rogue. Oh my goodness. And she's en route. There's this thing that lands, and it's big, and it knocks her for a loop. I like this. Good art too. Pepe Larraz is excellent. He has a really good style. You might have seen Stuart Immonen in the past. He feels like he's like one of those guys that kind of like is a disciple. But I do like it. This is some nice layout. I like the little box here, and you can see the comparison of how big the creature is compared to Rogue. And then we have the inset box so that we can see her talking to Marvel Girl. Excellent. And here's the X-Men. The X-Men get to use their powers in ways you haven't seen them before. Mostly Polaris. She comes out of this looking pretty badass, like you'd expect Polaris to do. She takes all this metal that was like hanging around, and she crafts this creature, this machine that is able to be powered by all the X-Men that are in it. So she kind of does a little Voltron bit. But it's pretty sweet. I enjoy this, and there's good fighting going on with kaiju style. And the thing about this creature is it's attacking New York, the area, with psi attacks. So it's pretty cool that they have to physically beat the creature up so it can stop the mental attacks. And there's even a space scene where we go to this casino. This is the last page I have here of this guy losing his bet. He thought that the humans, the mutants, were gonna lose. They could bet on anything on this place. It's one of those kind of situations. And I like this. He's ruined. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good issue of X-Men. I thought it had elements of X-Men that everybody likes. It has the team dynamic. We got to meet the team in full. We got to see them use their powers in different ways. It wasn't the deepest story, but we're getting like little subplots and characters out there that are probably going to relate to stuff. It doesn't feel like it's like one of those books that are being written for that trade. It feels like every issue is something I'm probably going to want to read. But that also might be because it was as extra thick as it was. He had more time to be able to do stuff, and we'll see how the further issues come out. But as long as like Pepe Larraz or some equivalent is doing work on that, and Jerry Dugan, he does an okay job. I've liked most of the things that he's written that I've read. I've even read some Deadpool that he wrote, and that was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to reading the second issue. I'm not going full on the X-Men series. I kind of have this, I know, and this is the part where I'm a customer, and I'm not, a store owner in this situation. But the things that I'm buying, the things that I'm collecting, aren't necessarily things I think I am going to care as deep about as I do some of the stuff that I have now. That's not necessarily that things that come out aren't like that. I've talked about Beta Ray Bill being an excellent series. From Image, we had Stray Dogs. Holy cow. I'm going to get all the reprints that are available of that series, and I would love to have that in issue form and on like a spinner rack all the time. I also have the first 4 issues of Nottingham back in stock in reprint form. And, just read some awesome comic books. Who cares if these are things that are going to, you can speculate or they'll be worth something. Comic books are still, I know they're more expensive than they felt like they were when we were younger, but 60 cents is a lot easier to come up with than like $4 sometimes for something you just want to throw away afterwards. But comics are supposed to be disposable. You don't have to get rid of your comics, but you also don't have to invest all the time and effort in multiple series and, crazy ass long storylines. You can pick up a comic and put it down. You can pick it up again later on, put it down. You can, this is just an arc. I'll read this and I'll go read something else. Keep it fresh. But I thought X-Men, like I said, it does that kind of thing. It keeps it fresh. I just don't know if it's something that's going to be able to keep bringing me back. But as far as the first issue is concerned, I highly recommend it. And I'm definitely looking forward to the second issue because some of my favorite characters that don't get utilized are actually in this book. I love Sunfire personally, but I'm expecting him to get like all crazy about Americans soon and get pissy and get in a huff and fly off. That guy's such a racist. I want to put this up. Thank you very much to the people, to every single one of you that is a patron. Your names are now scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Words fail me sometimes. Let's take a look ahead. Oh, yeah, I'm indeed. All right, so comic books that I am looking forward to that are coming out. One is going to be a collection, and I'm going to show that to you. Well, firstly, a few weeks ago, that came out, and it said it was classified, and you can't see it because of the banner. Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. How interesting. We have Echolands by J.H. Williams, but in the store, we just call him the Third. So just like Tynan, we don't call him Tynan. We call him number 4. We go 4. Hey, you got that new Thor book out there? Did you say Thor? No, 4. 3, 4. Wait. You're talking about J.H. Williams 3? No. All right. Before 5. Thor. Shit. It's going to have great artwork. I like it. He's got a lot of different styles going on in just this one page alone. And then here we go. Here's another page, another cover. J.H. Williams is excellent. And he has his buddy Blackman doing the writing. He's the guy that, or they're the person that wrote Batwoman with J.H., with the Third. This just got announced. Cliff Chang is going to be doing a Black Label 4-issue miniseries, Catwoman, The Lonely City. Cliff Chang, wow. If you haven't seen his Wonder Woman that he did with Brian Azzarello, oh my goodness, so good. Cliff Chang also did Human Target. Ugh, I'm not looking forward to Tom King doing a Human Target series with Greg Smallwood. I mean, if Greg Smallwood was doing it with somebody else, but that's going to happen soon. Then I found out that Primordial was the Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino book from Image. Excellent. Enigma. All right, guys, I want you to know that this is one of my... Hold on a sec. Let's turn this camera on. All right, I'm going to do this. Whoa. All right, you can see my my spinner rack, right? See where it says cherry? All right. Oh, yeah, there it is. Enigma. All right, there you go. Right up at the very top, tippy top of that. All right, stopping my cam. This is an excellent series. This is one of those stories that everybody is finding out about and is like, oh, one of the greatest LGBTQ plus all that stuff books is Enigma. Well, thanks for spoiling it. Okay, thanks for spoiling this for everybody that didn't know. How about this is one of the greatest comic books. It was an 8-issue series, I do believe, or 7 or 8. They're all up there, but it doesn't matter. Peter Milligan was at the height of his powers. He was doing Shade the Changing Man. He did Vertigo, had like Vertigo Voices or something like that. And he did a story called Faces, I think. And he was just writing really powerful stuff. And Duncan Fegredo, since he's still currently working, I have 2 categories of artists. I have a superhero artist and I have a non-superhero artist. And Duncan Fegredo is the greatest non-superhero artist working in the business today. He outdoes Mike Mignola on Hellboy, and he can think of Ba and Moon. the brothers that do all this stuff with that singer of that band, Gerard Way, or their own stuff with each other. This guy has just got such amazing art, and it all comes together in this book. And yes, there are gay people in this comic book. There are. But it's so freaking powerful. And I don't even want to tell you about the narrator, but it's amazing. And it's not till the end. Don't page ahead. Just come in the store and buy it, because I got a bunch of copies coming in. It's going to be like $30, but it's so good. What else am I looking forward to? Well, I'm not necessarily looking forward to Khazar, Lord of the Savage Land. He died and he's coming back to life with powers. But I do like Khazar, and I would like to see a story focused around him. I have been reading my Khazar omnibus I got for myself, and those are fantastic issues that transport me back to when I was a little kid. May's book is going to be written and drawn by Jeff Lemire and come out through Dark Horse Comics. I don't know what it is, but I love Jeff Lemire, and when he's doing the art, his stories are probably even better. This is the variant cover that Zafino, Jorge Zafino's kid, or maybe it is Jorge Zafino. Anyway, Zafino's doing this, and I'm really looking forward to it. Jed McKay has been doing stuff that I know people in the store have enjoyed, so hopefully he takes this character and does some stuff with it. I like him. So yeah, some good Moon Knight. And last but not least, looking ahead, Donnie Cates is going to be doing Hulk with Ryan Otley of Invincible and recently Amazing Spider-Man fame. And he is going to be writing this book. Not unlike his Thor, Donnie Cates is finally doing a comic book I'm interested in. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of smashing. That is an awesome page. I feel that Ryan Otley didn't live up to what I thought his Spider-Man could be. Now he's doing Hulk, and that I had no idea of what I would expect from him. And I like this. It looks good. So hopefully this will be a really powerful comic. I know I have a bunch of customers that are going to enjoy reading it regardless, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's go through chat one more time. Okay, here we go. Be sure to check out and order Impossible Carl Kiesel and David Hahn. It was a Kickstarter that is now being serialized by it is Scout Comics, coming out in September. Awesome. Scout Comics, one of the first company, well, it is the first company to leave Diamond after DC. They actually, I think, still get distributed by Diamond, but they were able to get a lunar gig also. I think there's other companies that are making Vault, I think, is next. So they're starting to fall away. So it should be interesting what Diamond has to do to keep going. Let me see here. What can't there were no how dare you? You mean before 2016? Oh my God, Guillaume March, that guy is an amazing illustrator. I love the striations and the clothing and the shadows and just the way everything moves and drapes with it. He's one of those guys that cares about how the clothing looks, and it almost looks like woodcut sometimes. I think he's fantastic. I have Gotham City Sirens, I think it was. He did the first issue of that. I have all his Catwomans that he did with Judd Winnick when Catwoman was fucking Bruce on top of the rooftop in that first issue. But it's just, he's so good, and he really knows how to draw people sexy, men and women. But Carmen, holy cow, that's a book I have not read, but I have them saved up. So see, I'm guilty sometimes. That is some awesome art in Hulk, or good art, yeah. And then lastly, Bruce fighting to remain in control. Well, yeah, who knows? We'll see. Hopefully, they can put that missile in the right direction and just like have him go off and just, I don't know, man. It's been a while for Hulk to be really good. I think when Frank Cho was doing Totally Awesome Hulk, when it was Amadeus Cho, was the last time a Hulk book really was like, the last time it was like really super smash him. That was probably more because of Frank Cho. Again, he was drawing like really crazy big monsters that were somewhat dinosauric, and Amadeus was like losing control, and he was just beating the shit out of those things. So it was pretty awesome. But when Frank Cho leaves, and then the art kind of like isn't as good, and I don't care about the character as much, and give me some good old Bruce Banner, please. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. We had a lot of people in chat. It was awesome. I would love to keep this going. Maybe grow. Maybe just 10 more people, and we can have a really good party every Tuesday night. This really did well for me. This was good therapy for me. I want to go back to the store tomorrow now. I wasn't so sure if I did at the end of the day, but tomorrow should be awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. Fantinium, I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, I know Moby was out there, and I'll see him tomorrow. And all of you out there that are buying comic books these days still, hopefully one of these excited you, and maybe tell your store about that if it hasn't come out yet, or maybe you should go on over there and pick it up. Comic books are excellent. There is an excellent comic book out there for every single one of you, whether it is crowdfunded or running through your store, or a crowdfunded book running through your store. There's those types of things out there also. So give something a try. Maybe step outside your your normal comic book buying habits and experience something that you didn't know you were interested in. You read The Joker with Guillaume March on art. He's doing that Carmen for Image. It's a little bit more adult. It's a lot more adult. And those things are out there. So until next time, we'll see you on social media. Come on by. Fantastic Comics.